Evening. I'm Rohan Shah. I welcome you all on Future Talk. Future Talk. Future is already here. Here. What was impossible yesterday is already here, and what is impossible today will be here very shortly. The question is, are we ready? This is the unique platform. Future Talk is a unique platform where we discuss the future in the different industry from the experts and uncover the what opportunities are awaiting for us and what action we can take today to lead the best life tomorrow. It is the time. The time has already come. It is the time that to unthink the way we do things and rethink everything what we do, right? With that, today we will talk about the future of cinema. And for that, I would like to welcome our guest for today, Mikhil Musale. Welcome, Mikhil. Welcome to the show. Welcome to
Hi.
Future. Hi. It was truly pleasure having you today. So let me quickly introduce him as well. So Mikhil is a Maharashtrian born and brought up in Ahmedabad, is among very few directors whose regional debut film, Wrong Side Raju, has won a national award for the best Gujarati film. Mikhil was also a part of India's entry to Oscars in year 2017 as a jury member who selected Newton as an official entry. He was felicitated by President of India on 4th of May 2017 at Vigyan Bhavan at Delhi, and followed by our PM Narendra Modi on 5th of May. He was also acknowledged and felicitated by our Chief Minister of Gujarat, Shri Vijay Rupani, and also Shri Uddhav Thackeray in Mumbai. He has also been a co-creative director and the co-founder of production house Cinnamon Production Limited, who has produced the game-changer films in the Gujarati cinema like Kevi Rite Jaish, Bayar from 2010 to 2016. He is also an ad filmmaker and has directed more than 30 television commercials till now. His second film was his debut in the Bollywood with Made in China, starring Rajkumar Rao, Boman Irani, Moni Roy, Sumit Vyas, and Manoj Joshi. Manoj Joshi. Film was being produced by Maddock Films and was released in last Diwali 2019. Welcome, Mikhil. Welcome to Future Talk. It was indeed an absolute pleasure having you today on the show.
Thank
Uh,
you,
so,
Rohan. Thank you, Surendra. And thank you, Shikha. These are the people I've been in touch now. So, yeah.
So thank you. So Mikhail, I want to start by with talking about the regional films. And before we go towards the future, it is very essential and it is very important to understand the evolution. And if I talk about the Gujarati industry, then it has a very rich history, right? Rich history starting from the first Gujarati talkie we talk about in Narsi Mehta in year 1932. The industry has flourished almost till 1980. But then there was a steep decline in the industry for a long time, almost till 2015, where the first industry has, where the first time the industry has reached actually 35 crores worth of business in the history of Gujarati cinema. And you did your debut during the very same time with Wrong Side Raju. And not only that, you won the national award for the best Gujarati film. And to add to that, that Gujarati cinema has got the national award after probably 22 to 25 years. That was absolute incredible. That was a huge win for the Gujarati cinema as well. So we would like to know about the journey and the challenge you faced pulling it through. How did you pull it through, and what just let us know your journey about
That's too much of good words I think so heard since long time.
that.
Definitely quite encouraging. And before starting, lovely room, by the way, wherever you have been right now.
Yeah.
Roman, I'm telling it to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely,
Thank you.
lovely,
Thank you.
lovely place. Lovely place. So, uh, again, I'll address to your question before I address in holistically. Talking about the future of cinema, being an individual, being a film director is a very, very small part of it. And of course, whatever I am trying to express my opinions about the industry are my personal opinions. And uh, from from a very small position of the industry, I've been trying to be part of. So Coming to a question on regional film industry, especially if you talk about Gujarati film industry, uh, that's where our career began. And I think so. It was 2010, and during my engineering days, after my completed engineering, again the dilemma of choosing to do what you're good at, and I went to Bombay, and I was again trying to do things when we realized the fact that I want to get into films, and nothing much was working on our side. So I came back and I met a gentleman. Most of the people here might know about him also. He's been part of my journey, Abhishek Jain, and we both started the company together, and we thought we were doing small ad films, and that was back in 2010 when films were not so familiar to Gujarat per se. I mean, compared to the other regional film industry, and so we were trying to figure it out. How do we do things here? How do we place things here? And it was his idea to make a Gujarati film. And honestly speaking, uh, though we have a history of Gujarati films, and we have a rich history of especially Gujarati theatre culture and Gujarati films, it
Absolutely.
sounded like a stupid idea that to do a Gujarati film. And I think so his idea of uh, doing a Gujarati film probably in a modern setup, in a setup which people had not seen before, that more or less work like a blue ocean strategy where you're trying to swim around yourself. You're trying to swim around something which is like a vast pool of opportunity, but at the end you're alone there. And so there are only two things that can happen: you either get drowned or you survive. So uh, I believe to accept that maybe we survived, and this is the reason we could make films like Evridijaish and Bayar on those times. And it probably helped to revive the way people wanted to see those kind of films in theaters, where people like you and me, people around us, who were probably not watching. And surprisingly, me and Abhishek, we both are non-Gujaratis. I'm Maharashtrian, he was a Mahabharati. So uh, again, it was a tough task of understanding the language, and probably making films that was much more palpable for people. It was entertaining, and it was probably accepted the way they liked it. So hence the journey continued. And in 2016, after Bayar and Kivridiesh, I could debut my own film, Wrong Side Raju, as a director. And again, that film has a different challenges. At that time, there were two films were already there. So the idea was not just to make a good film, but idea was to make a better film, but also a different film. And so we tried on a subject which was like a genre, which was of thriller genre, and multiple characters, and again a film based on a real incident. So it had its own challenges in terms of acceptance. We weren't sure that how people would react to it, because probably only drama or comedy films were made till that time. So all these three films, I think, so it came with its own set of challenges, and uh, all of them were received. Few of them on box office level, few critically, uh, the way we wished. And with Wrong Side, uh, more or less, after the challenges, I think so. After a year, uh, we got to know that we also got a national award. It was probably after 2 decades that a best Gujarati film in a national award was being received by a Gujarati maker. There were films before where we had got, but they were not Gujaratis. Like Good Road was by Gayan Koringo, was not a Gujarati. I consider myself to be Gujarati, so that that really helped. And then I think so. It just helps you to give you some encouragement and power to do the kind of films and cinema you wish. So it's been so far so good. Let's see.
Perfect, perfect. Sound great, great. So also, I want to ask, like today, Gujarati movies were has still very restricted audience, right? It was successful at certain extent recently to attract lots of urban crowd, but still there is a huge gap if we especially compared with the other regional industries like South or even Maharashtrians. They have a very still they have a very strong crowd. And if you talk about the Gujarati theaters or play, still have quite a big elite urban crowd, but the same crowd we are not able to pull it in the film side. So how do we market this, and how do we actually attract this larger audience, and what are the trends that you see that Gujarati cinema should have?
If you consider 2020 as the end of the decade, considering Corona now, I do consider it is at the end of decade because there's nothing probably
Yeah,
left
yeah,
beyond 2020. I feel so. So it has been a pretty mix of good things and a mix of not so good things also with Gujarati cinema. I mean, of course, there have been films which have made a lot of money, which have reached theaters, which have made people to reach the theaters, and so definitely there is some moment happening there. Uh, Considering films like Hillaro and Chal Jeevili. Hillaro again won the Best National Award, Best Film at
yeah,
National Award. So that was
yeah.
again a huge achievement. Chal Jeevili again is a film which made a lot of money and was it reached out to a lot of people. So I would say that there are definitely some very good parts where uh, people have now started watching films not just at theater but even on digital or at home. People are talking about it. We have good actors, we have stars. Uh, we have media and newspaper covering about it. So all the ingredients which helps to make a regional industry survive, be it Malayali or be it, but we've got to understand the fact that we are probably also quite new here. I mean, we are probably on a very insane stage of the industry. We've been talking about Bengali, or because I again interact with a lot of producers and makers from other industries. So be it Malayali or Bengali or Telugu, they have been producing and making films since years. Of course, we also have been, but the kind of films which probably people, the so-called urban audience wants to see and watch, have been started probably from 2011 or 2012. So we got an insane stage right now. So it's gonna take time. Take out the sweet time of making our own mistakes, making our share of great films, making our share of mediocre films. So there is a lot of ray of hope that probably in the coming years that we might we might have equally good number of films and uh, which are of course entertaining and also critically acclaimed. Uh, mm, so I think so. It's been a struggling ride here with a mix of everything, and the struggle is not just on the part of probably not getting funding. It's about the struggle of being able to make great scripts, sensible filmmakers, the music, the marketing part, and probably everything which it's like a cascade where everything probably has to fall in place. Even one wrong card, even wrong, it has a domino effect of probably spoiling the entire castle. So it's not even easy to build a Gujarati film. It's not about just probably writing, getting a right script, or probably just making a great content or good film. Everything probably has to fall at place, and it's a pretty long process. And
Yeah,
so, of course, we will need a lot of good producers, good filmmakers, good writers, especially writing being the main component of not just Gujarati, but even everything we see around. So mm, it's a ride. It's a tough ride, but I think so. We are fighting and we are there, and I'm quite hopeful that we'll reach there
oh,
someday in a very
absolutely.
strong way.
Sure, sure, absolutely. So now, since you mentioned about the script and the good scripts, as well as the we talked about, we touch upon the, you mentioned Helaro. So do you think that Gujarati film or Gujarati cinema, or say even the Gujarati crowd, is ready for such content based movie, or we are still at the stage where the commercial films, which are more preferable for the critical mass success for the industry? Because Hilaro was a beautiful film. I watched it and I loved it. But still, the crowd which they pulled and the commercially pulled, there is a huge gap again. So, do you think we are ready for that?
Uh, See, I feel the audience is always ready for any kind of film because the same audience who watches Helaro is the same audience who watches web series, is the same audience who watches the Hollywood films. So the audience doesn't change. It is it's only what you promise them and what you're giving them. Regional films per se, or Hindi films or web series, if you compare, they have its own their charm. Regional films has its own charm of the language and the culture and the colloquialism. uh, a Netflix web series works on a different way, where right now we have been accessible to probably the most uh, exotic and the most universal content. Like
Correct.
a web series like Money Heist, which is based out of Switzerland, is doing so well. And uh, uh, and we all have, probably it has access to anything and everything. So script is an integral part of anything you do, especially we have realized now, and the producers started realizing now that uh, you can't get away making you can't get away through a mediocre script. I mean, you definitely can't make a good film with a bad script. So the otherwise likewise is possible, but you can't get through. So it is an integral part, and I do believe that the audience is accepting to any genre. I mean, we have proved that in before, like a film like Helaro, probably set in 1975, about 11 women, uh, and it is about it talks about a small subject, and it has a huge impact. And
Absolutely.
so I think so. It's the conviction of the makers, the strong writing, and how convinced you are, and the making process, which matters. The audience is the same. It has received all the good films with great love, and it has also got disappointed badly with bad films. And that's also a problem that which is really sad, is with one good film you definitely go two steps ahead in with the trust audience, but you also go four steps backwards with the bad film. So
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
tricky situation there, where we have to instill the trust of the audience, especially for Gujarati films, to uh, make them believe, make them have faith about it, and so to catch hold of them. The same is with the Indian and other web series and web content also, but it's the same ratio, where one good film out of 10 films is there. But maybe we should make sure that the ratio doesn't elongate a lot, and it's a correct ratio, where we keep producing a good number of films in good intervals, because uh, even I understand it's impossible to create all the films with the same amount of expectation and the reception, but at
Right.
least films with good films with decent intervals.
Yeah.
So that can help.
Sure, sure, sure. And also, you mentioned about the budget. So now let's talk a little bit about from the business perspective, right? From the monitor value in this, like if you look at the do the films or the industry itself, do we have, especially in the Gujarati cinema, do we have enough budgets or funds to scale on which we are planned or we aspire to be, or do you think there is a huge area of an opportunity for the investment for the people also being into the uh, producing part of it?
So I've been told that this group has a lot of potential investors, and this probably uh, 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 members from a lot of business families. So so uh, so it's tricky, where the budgeting of a Gujarati film, if talk about numbers, it can go from 1 CR to 5 CR, all depending on the kind of film which we're intending to make. What happens is that uh, it all depends and boils down on the conviction of the director and the producer of the kind of project you're trying to build. Because especially what's different from Gujarati film to Hindi film is the recovery part, where the primary component is the theatrical. Then we have satellite, digital, and the music rights and other things. So here the problem is that the theatrical, the ratio of the producer versus exhibition, in regionals it becomes a little tricky after the second and third week. So, and secondly, probably the satellite rights is not that that's not that great, or that number which you would expect from other industries or other forms. And digital is still coming up, but maybe
Yeah.
it all depends on maybe the criteria. And there are hardly any music rights also. there are not any fixed ways of marketing a film apart from the print and the digital, and like we still don't have music stations playing Gujarati songs on their stations. Few of them have started, but not all of them. So there's always struggle to market a Gujarati film, and hence you would see all the successful films had come up with very different and innovative plans of marketing, because there is no fixed formula per se. Uh, Whereas in Hindi films, more or less it's a fixed formula. There's a PNA, there's a publicity and advertising budget to a film, and there are fixed ways of marketing a budget, and maybe few songs here and there can still keep you steady. But in Gujarati, uh, it's little more complicated, where you'll have to find much more innovative ways. Like for example, there was a film called Karsandas PI News, and it
Yeah.
was a beautiful film, and it was set a beautiful love story set on the backdrop of a public toilet. And so they had a strategy of putting posters of the film across all the toilets of the theatricals in theaters in Gujarat. So it was a very innovative way of marketing. So makers have tried those ways, and it has worked. At some places it has not worked, but investing in Gujarati films per se has to come probably with a lot of experience, knowledge, skill, and innovation. Uh, it's not something that you would put the money and you fade away, and probably it will reap you the way you wish. It's not that simple. It's much more complicated. Hence, most of the investors who have invested without any prior knowledge and experience has
Yeah.
I have yeah, heard that they have burned their hands. And there are also people who have been successful, who have come with a detailed knowledge and insight and with a plan. So my message to the investors is it's a great space to invest, but probably with better insights, better knowledge, and better preparation would help.
Sure, sure. Yeah, that's very helpful because, um, yeah. So you also mentioned about the digital media, the digital films and the web series you were mentioning earlier. So now I want to shift to that area a little. So we can see that increasing trends of these web series is and on all the social medias and such digital mediums, right? In fact, especially during this lockdown period, they are the biggest friend and a support for a lot of people. So do you think that it's going to take over the mainstream film industry in a maybe not even a shorter but a little bit a longer future?
So as I said that I'll come in from what a little capacity I belong to. So I started with Gujarati. I did a Hindi film. That was again the process of making films is very similar, but a very different experience of dealing with actors who probably are much more popular, and it works in a different way. So right now, of course, the idea is to make films and be able to be part of all the forms. In fact, I would love to make a Marathi film also, because I'm a Maharashtrian. And of course, the idea is to also foray into web series. And it's a space which is probably not that old. So all the makers and the producers, I think so, we are still trying to understand this space, how it works, how reciprocative it is. Uh, Even the long format episodic web series, or be it mini series, or the Netflix originals. So I feel every form of films or cinema is going to coexist. It's not that OTTs are going to replace. This is all temporarily we are talking, because we all are probably very scared of the situation right now, where we don't know when are the theaters going to open back, and when is the film shootings probably going to resume back. So it's a tough situation. Especially the entertainment industry, and also the ones who do events, because technically speaking, as humankind, we belong to the lowest strata of the ecosystem. So in fact, we are going to be the last one to resume back and go back to our jobs, most of them being freelancers. So it's a tough situation, but
Yeah.
it's going to be a coexistence in the coming future, where you know, uh, for probably big event films or big films or entertaining films, people will definitely go to theaters, and it's not going to be skippable at all. That is a sort of entertainment which we have been consuming since years and years. We have 100 years of
Sure.
cinema right now, but of
Sure.
course the
Yeah.
OTT going to have a rise, especially in these times, be it Hotstar, Amazon, Netflix, and other platforms where they are going to be much more aggressive. We will start consuming more content. There's going to be more penetration in the coming years, not just with the ones who have access to good internet and are privileged, but even from B and C tier city. Subscriptions levels are definitely going to go high. If you see the reports, India as a country, probably it's an open space where, with the population of 1.3 cr crore, we hardly have any subscriptions as of now. If you see the reports, so it's definitely going to go high and high and high, and it's going to coexist. And in all these space of coexistence, of course, there is regional film industry which also has to survive. So they all are different games. They work with different set of rules, and it has they all have different charms. So I'm someone who's trying to foray also into web series now, very soon. So it's quite amazing that how the charm and how the functioning of a regional industry is so different from a Hindi industry, a commercial industry. Especially my film was released during Diwali, so I knew how the dynamics were of probably multi-release of a film, and uh, it comes with a very different set of challenges. And especially web series, which is much more free in terms of the content, and it is much more independent, it's much more freedom based, and there's a different charm of a long format storytelling. It's more character driven, and so it's a fun time, especially for writers and filmmakers, where there are a lot of opportunities. A lot of writers and a lot of new writers are coming, because there are so many forms, and there's so many platforms that I think as a creative person, if you're really good, uh, it's tough to get home now. There's lot to explore, and there's lot to be part of, uh, if you have patience and you have that perseverance, I feel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So now that from the creativity you mentioned about the creative and especially the lockdown and the new ways. So if I want to talk about the immediate future, right? So it's this lockdown has taught of a lot of different things actually, and really pushed everyone to find the new ways to be relevant in their own business, their own area. Now, if we talk about the films, there are lots of unknowns today. We Nobody knows when things will get normal, when theaters will open, and when the shooting will get resumed, as you mentioned. So it's very unclear. And so, however, do you see that the new ways or innovative ways of are emerging in this space, especially surrounding these unknowns? People are talking new ways, how do we do this, how do we do this, and some new ideas pop up, and these emerging ways.
So, Rohan, irrespective of whatever whosoever is watching today, and from
Yeah,
whatever we belong to, in whatever field we work, it's definitely going to be a tough time now, because we
yeah,
don't know how long it's gonna go. Especially if people from entertainment industry, even tough because, as I said, that we belong to the lowest in the strata of in the ecosystem. So not just economically, people are going to be hit, but even spiritually, in the way people think about life. I do very strongly feel that it is definitely going to change a lot the way we used to be before. Uh, I
absolutely.
think how PE and EDV goes, I think so. It's gonna be like an after Corona era, where we will have to innovate. We'll have to change a lot of things around us, because it's at the end it is a game of survival, and in whatever capacity we were doing and trying to impact things, we will have to innovate those things, and in those resources, and in those literary resources, we will have to survive ourselves, and we will have to probably get back to the game. It's not going to be not going to be an easy ride. It's going to be a tough ride, and this
Yeah,
I'm saying across every industry. I'm saying even from
yeah,
essential to non-essential to industrial to everything. So
absolutely.
and if talking about your question, innovation in filmmaking, so I think so OTT is one platform where the innovation is already taking place, where all the kind of films which people want to see, the long format web series, or the Netflix originals, I think so. They are the ones who's going to bounce back the first, because they are the ones
Yeah,
on television. There are a lot of innovation there.
sure.
I hope I'm not breaking up.
Yeah, you just broke up. Can you repeat the last few sentences? Actually, we missed it. We missed that.
There's a lot of innovation going to happen. Yeah. So there's a lot of innovation going to happen in OTT, where they don't have a pressure to release their content on television or theaters, which we can directly come on the digital. So I feel they are the ones who's going to benefit the most in terms
Yeah,
of the subscription base, the overall penetration of the subscribers and acceptance, and also probably creating more content as soon as there is a situation that comes where we would be allowed shooting, which honestly I don't see it coming soon. There are a lot of
yeah,
rumors and theories that we might start from July, August. I think they all are theories.
yeah, yeah.
No can judge that what's going to happen next.
Great,
So
very true.
let's accept the reality and work towards something probably which is more of a, I would say, creating stuff and creating content internally, and creating content not just for the creative fields, from writers, filmmakers, or but probably for everyone. Of
Yeah,
trying to bring some innovation to function back, or probably to give back, or probably to create an impact, because that's the only thing which is in our hands. Except that there's nothing much which is in our hands.
yeah. True, true, true. And if you forget about the short term period, right, even before, like 2 months before, you may be talking about a lot of innovations and a lot of future. And when we didn't even know about this corona pandemic is going to coming. So if we talk about this long term future, about because you are an emerging director, and you have probably just started your career in last 6 years now, in the film industry, and just debuted in a Bollywood. What are the trends you see, and for the long term, and what is the future of you believe that the Bollywood has? And because I'm sure you also have a lot of aspirations in terms of that, and a lot of plans. So so I want to talk about the long term future rather than the short term immediate, because I know it will pass on. Yes, there will be a year or two, and there will be a lot of innovation, but still it will it will pass. So
So, Rohan, when we discuss about these things, I am always much more curious to comment about regional film industry, because that's much more closer to my heart. That's where I belong to.
sure, sure, sure. Fair.
How I talk about Hindi film. I'll comment on that also. So,
Yeah,
regional is like my home playground, where how when a player comes back to his hometown, he goes on to play. It's that kind of feeling. Where I definitely want Gujarati industry to be much more richer in terms of content. I want much more filmmakers to come, and so I do believe that the best of the cinema, which has come in other industries also, be it Marathi or be it films like Sairat or Bahubali, they are probably the most honest and original and fearless voices. If you talk about Sairat, again, it is from maker like Nagaraj Manjule, coming from a small town in Maharashtra. I do believe that the best films, which probably are going to come, and probably which would reach out to the maximum people, are going to be from those who are connected to the culture and the core culture of our state, of our B towns and C towns, of our motherland, and probably who knows English in probably the most original and honest way. As you said, that regional
sure.
industry is about the original voice and the colloquialism, and how real you could get. What I'm trying to say is that maybe we would have our shares of films like Bahubalis or Sairat or these kind of films. We already have, but much more. And so I want these voices to come from probably those filmmakers who themselves have their voice inside them, and not the one who trying to inherit, like us who are basically born and brought up in 8-year cities. So that would be much more interesting. uh, Secondly, talking about theatrical, uh, I think it's gonna take a lot of time uh, when the theaters begin. But I think
Yeah.
so. That has been the major source of entertainment for the audience since years and decades.
Yeah.
I feel we are going to go back to theaters. We again going to start watching those entertaining films, and a theatrical experience is something which is unskippable. It will definitely, it will never go completely. Uh, Obviously, there are going to be, the dynamics will change. The OTT, probably there would be certain kind of films which were released on theatrical would probably directly come on OTT. Maybe those smaller films, but the bigger films, the event films, the entertaining films, the big star films are definitely going to be there on theatrical. And the other films, so OTT is something where I see a lot of change there, where lot of experimentation in terms of storytelling. Also, the kind of content we consume is going to happen in OTT because there's much more freedom in terms of language, characters, and the genres there. With most of the content which we have loved up till now, talking about India, be it Family Man or Sacred Games or A Daily Crime, probably these stories were probably would not have been possible to tell them in form of theatrical, but because of OTT, it is quite possible. In fact, me and my writers, my team of writers, we have been exploring a lot of subjects which we thought that we couldn't have made through probably without a big star in a theatrical main form. So OTT is something which a lot of people, in fact, are doing only. I know a lot of writers and directors who are now only making for OTT because they're in so much love with the way the format allows you to tell the story in the most uh, in probably the most what I'd say powerful and the most fearless form. So it is going to be a good level of coexistence in every form. And
Wow.
it's I'm also quite curious that how are things going to be post corona. So, and that is something I don't think so anyone can predict, be it 4 months,
Yeah.
6 months, or 8 months, how it's going to be.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So great. Now before we actually open up for a few questions, we can take it from the audience. But before I take few questions, we have a lot of questions that we have to narrow down. We can select a few, whatever. Uh, but I want to talk about a little bit your personal side of it. That what are your future plan in terms of what type of films you wish to do in the future, and any upcoming films that you may be working on, or you, if you can tell our audience about that.
So, uh, of course, the idea is to explore in any form, be it Gujarati films, Hindi films, or OTT. OTT is something which is attracting me right now, and we are on a developing on a stage where I can't declare it, but then there is something which might happen on that front very soon. Uh, Probably in the way which we wanted. So that is one thing which I really want to explore, and uh, I am more fond of subjects which are more reality based, real issue based, and that has been my liking. But I like to watch all kind of content. Since years I've been watching films. I watch at least one film a year, one film a day, and from Korean cinema to international cinema to regional cinema, I've been consuming content, and I'm a film buff across every platform, every language, and every film. So especially in
Wow.
lockdown, I had managed to see probably those kind of films which I probably wouldn't have got a chance to see. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I'm definitely we want to make films about subjects, and it's about issues which touch me personally. I do believe that a lot of people ask that why don't we just make films which people love? But there is no tangible way of knowing what people will love. So while creating as writers or directors, the only way to gauge is that if I like it and if I have conviction in it, maybe there are more chances that even people would love it, because there is no way to judge that how this film is going to fare
Yeah.
at the end. So the only way to gauge is how excited I'm telling this story, how much this particular subject or the characters excite me. So that's how we gauge our subjects. There's, there's a team of writers who work with me. So and the basis of selecting subject and the basis of selecting films is the world, is the characters in the subject and what the film is trying to say, nothing more than that. And it's the decision is more or less, it's like a first love kind of a thing, where when you hear it or when you know that this is what you want to get into, that probably it may take years to develop that. Like a film like Parasite, which I had seen probably 6 months before it actually got Oscars. And I was
Wow.
so much in love with that film, the film, what it was trying to say and the way it was trying to say about class inequality, and the way and in fact not just Parasite, in fact Bong Joon's all those films from Memories of Murders to Okja, I'm a big fan of that director. So uh, so to each of its filmmaker, uh, based on the kind of subjects which you have conviction, which you like, uh, you try to want to make those kind of films and create an impact. So for me, definitely films which are based on real stories and a thriller, it is my to go genre, and I would love to explore in that space.
Perfect. That's great, Mikhil. Thank you very much. And maybe we can, if you can, I'm not sure if you can able to see the question answer on your screen. Then maybe we can take few questions. We have a lot of questions from a lot of different people. So
So I'll take those questions very quickly.
yeah,
There's one question from Alap which says that about working with Pratik Gandhi and Sachin Jigar, was it easy and hard? So yeah, with Sachin Jigar I've worked twice, with Wrong Side Raju and Made in China, Pratik once. So I think they're quite lovely people, yeah. Very humble, very hardworking, very talented. So pretty easy now because they're all great friends now. Because it's something when you all start together on something, those people they tend to out of be much more special to you than others. Even probably would have happened with you also, Rohan, that in whatever industry you've been pouring to, the people who started with you with your initial years are probably, they are much more closer and they're much more special. So
absolutely,
such
absolutely.
and they are very special to us. Uh, Ankur asked, there's a question from Ankur which says that since production is on pause, how are you best utilizing this lockdown time? Are you writing the new material and working? Yes, in fact, I'm much more busier than usually I am, because we have a pool of writers, and since this new video calling feature, which is of course there, but as they say that necessity is the mother of invention, and with this lockdown, we have realized the fact that how effective, innovative we could be over video calls, and the work can still be on without any interruption, and you can do everything which probably more or less everything which we were doing before. So writing is happening. There's a lot of writing happening. There is a lot of new collaboration is happening, and this is the best time probably also to go back to the classics, the books which I would always wanted to read but I couldn't. So I'm utilizing and taking this time in most positive stride as much as possible, and it has been helping me a lot. And I've been trying to explore in the best possible way. So to all the content creators, I would say that if probably if you're a writer and not been able to create one good script in such a long time, then you're going to regret yourself later. So you probably take the best to utilize this time. There's one question from Sanjay Pandey. It says that if I'm not wrong, some, if the mainstream films are looking at OTT release, yes. So a lot of theatrical films you might be coming on OTT, uh, and it is only be going to the question of the it's a logistical dynamic game where if the producer sees that it's viable to release directly on OTT, they're going to go ahead. But probably the bigger films, the bigger stars, and the bigger entertainers, they may not afford to come directly on OTT, and they would have to wait for the theatrical for the recovery. So it's a completely logistical game. Samriddha says that there is some network issue. Yes, there was, and I hope you like the session. Uh, There's one land question. What was the budget at which you made Gujarati films? I think so. Budget uh, goes from 1 CR to 5 CR as per the kind of film which you're trying to make. So budget is not an issue. What is the preferred flavor of Gujarati movie watchers in general? Uh, I think they are quite the kind of films which we have done well. I mean, from Chal Ji Bhi Liye to Kuchubai series to Kasandas PNU's Chillo Divas, Wrong Side Raju Bear. These are few films which have done well. I think so. The audience has been quite accepting in all the subjects and genres, as long as it is engaging, it is intriguing, and it has something to give back to the audience in terms of flavor and the language. So audiences love everything as long as it has to have engagement either through entertainment, humor, or through something which you have, which as a maker you have to give back to the society. So yeah, I think so. I've more or less covered.
Yeah, you
And
have almost
someone
covered
says,
everything.
have you done any Bhojpuri film, or do you have any idea that what will the future of Bhojpuri film industry? Well, I think so. Samriddra can answer this question quite well.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So thank you very much, Mikhil, for sparing time and talking to us about it was a very new subject for almost all of us, and there was a lot of good insight we have got because so thank you very much for your time, and it was absolute pleasure having you. So and thank you such amazing topics and experts in the different industries to talk about the future in the different area. So please, for all the updates and upcoming talks, you can follow us on our Instagram page, Future Talk Officials. And thank you very much. And I will see you next time. Thank you, Mikhil. It was again pleasure having you today. Thank you, thank you,
Okay.
everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you.